Coming up on today's show. Car and Driver shows how pretty much any car on sale today with semi-autonomous driver assistance can be tricked into thinking that there's someone behind the seat when there isn't. Nikola Motors gets awarded $2 million in US Department of Energy grant funds less than a month after the indictment of its founder. And Tesla's latest environmental report showcases how it can now recycle all of its battery pack materials to save 92% of all of the elements that make up new battery packs. These stories and more coming next. This is EcoTEC's EcoTEC Roundup show from New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to electric vehicles in New Zealand. Switch today at ecotecity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup in the world of clean energy and green cars. Thanks for joining me. It's pretty standard practice in the automotive world for a new car to be on the market for about 4 years before it gets some kind of refresh, known colloquially in the industry as a mid-cycle refresh. But BMW's iX3 electric SUV, a vehicle that's been on sale for less than a year in Europe, has just received its first refresh. And yes, that includes getting a bigger kidney grille, as has been BMW's trends for oh so long. In addition to the updated grille and new lights, a revised center console, and new infotainment screen. Sadly, there's no drivetrain or battery pack update, so this really is just cosmetic. So why the change so soon? Well, that's because BMW just did the mid-cycle refresh on its X3, the car that the iX3 is based on and which has been in production for much, much longer. We've seen plenty of video evidence over the last few years that it's pretty easy for the determined fool to trick Tesla's autopilot system into believing that there's someone sitting in the driver's seat with their hands on the wheel. But this week, Car and Driver released a report showing pretty much any semi-autonomous driver assistance system on the road today can be tricked into thinking that there's a person behind the wheel. Carrying out extensive testing on a closed track and a closed portion of public highway in order to test Cadillac's Super Cruise defeats, the magazine shows that while these systems all achieve the uncanny valley standard of driver impersonation, they all have their flaws. The hardest systems to trick, though, were Cadillac's Super Cruise and the auto-steer systems used by BMW and Mercedes-Benz. Polestar has made some significant tweaks to its Polestar 2 electric car for the 2022 model year, with improvements to range, in-car tech, and a lower price point. At the bottom end of the range is a new single-motor variant with a $45,900 MSRP before incentives or fees. Offering a 265-mile range, this new model is squarely in Model 3 territory, even if the Model 3 Standard Range Plus is a little more affordable. The Polestar long-range dual-motor variant, which also gets a modest range increase to 249 miles, starts from just under $50,000. Deliveries of both vehicles are expected to begin before the end of this year. Throughout this year, we've heard of plenty of tales of automakers being forced to push back vehicle launches and limit production due to constrained component supply. Despite controlling much of its own supply chain, Tesla is not immune to the chip shortages and, combined with super high demand for all of its models, has effectively sold out of all Model 3 Standard Range Plus models for this year. I say effectively because Tesla has just pushed back delivery estimates by 6 months, focusing instead on producing its Model 3 Performance and Model Y Performance models. This isn't the first time the easiest way into a new Tesla has been through its most expensive variants, but like it or loathe it, Tesla's response to the chip shortage is pretty much standard amongst all automakers right now. Troubled automotive startup Lordstown Motors, which is effectively under new management as investors scramble to save what remains of the business, has come up with a new game plan to make some money. While it's been telling us that it will begin deliveries of the Lordstown Endurance next month, a claim that most of us in the media are struggling to find credible, the company has now announced it's in serious discussions with several different companies about leasing out its production space, allowing other firms to build things alongside Lordstown on its production line. This would effectively make it the WeWork of manufacturing, but remember, Lordstown is seriously strapped for cash, and insiders I've spoken to suggest that its interim CEO's focus is on saving the company's assets and maybe getting ready for bankruptcy. Talking about companies we remain doubtful about, Nikola Motor announced it's received a $2 million grant from the US Department of Energy. Nikola says the money will help it develop refueling technologies for its planned range of hydrogen fuel cell trucks which were at the very heart of the federal charges against former CEO and founder Trevor Milton. With no trucks in production yet and very little to show for itself other than continued grandiose statements, we, like most of the media, are struggling to figure out why and how the DOE decided to go ahead with writing this check. That said, the DOE allegedly made the decision to give Nikola money 3 weeks before Milton's indictment. Nikola just decided to sit on the news a while. And yeah, I'm thinking what you are thinking. Tesla is well known for restricting its after-sales support and supercharger access for salvage vehicles. In fact, for many years, it even refused to sell parts to customers trying to repair such vehicles. But now, after denying supercharger access to rebuilt Teslas, it appears, based on anecdotal reports, that Tesla might have suddenly started allowing salvage Teslas back on its network. Given that this is anecdotal, and Tesla hasn't yet said anything publicly yet, this could be just a software glitch, like the one in Europe earlier this year, that suddenly started to let non-Teslas use CCS chargers. So when we have more confirmation either way, we will let you know. Audi loves making concept cars, and in the past few years, we've seen plenty of them powered by all-electric drivetrains. And ahead of next month's IAA in Germany and the Monterey Car Week in California, Audi has just revealed its latest concept, the Audi Skysphere. Looking more like something that Batman would drive than anything else, the Skysphere is a mean-looking convertible roadster with lots of power. Audi's boss said the Skysphere is not a car, but an experience device. And we've got to agree, there is a lot to experience, from that massive digital grille to that very massive tail. Supposedly highlighting Audi's new design language, it promises a 4-second sprint time, but don't expect this to ever reach production. Like, ever. This week, as the US legislature has been struggling to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill, there's been a lot of talk of so-called blue hydrogen, a method of generating hydrogen that captures excess carbon dioxide during its production. Yet a newly released scientific paper from researchers at Cornell and Stanford universities claim that blue hydrogen is anything but green, showcasing that the carbon capture technology used in blue hydrogen is responsible for generating 20% more greenhouse gas emissions than burning natural gas or coal. We've not had a chance to read the study in depth, but we are hoping to very soon, so do let us know below if you'd like us to make a video on it. Time to coincide with the IPCC's latest damning report on the effects of anthropogenic climate change on our lives and our planet, Tesla has published its own impact report. And while we're not going to go into the entire report in this video, again, if you'd like us to do a video on the report next week, please do let us know below. One really exciting piece of news stood out to us, namely that Tesla says it's now able to recycle 100% of all raw materials found in its battery packs, something it says means that it can reduce its mining requirements by 92% when building new battery packs. Of course, right now I'm fairly certain that Tesla is producing more batteries than it's recycling, but it certainly shows that a closed-loop manufacturing goal is achievable long-term. Ford, like every other automaker out there, is suffering as the ongoing chip shortage seriously hampers parts availabilities for its cars. While it's managed to get to this point without having any problems with the production of the Mustang Mach E, the company has now announced some significant delays will impact Mach E production for the future. Customers who've ordered their cars between July 5th and October 1st will see a 6-week delivery delay for their new vehicles. To compensate for the inconvenience, Ford says that it will be providing affected owners with an additional 250 kilowatt hours of complimentary charging on its Ford Blue Oval charge network, which basically translates to any of the partner charging networks Ford works with. Let's hope for all automakers that this shortage gets cleared up pretty soon. And finally, the Kia Soul EV has always been sold as a fun, funky vehicle. I mean, it had giant fluffy hamsters advertising it at launch, which I'm not going to lie, meant that I kind of fell in love with its boxy design. While the second generation Soul EV was far less nerdy and more mature in its design, it didn't actually get sold in the US, although Canada, Europe and parts of Asia got it. And now one of Kia's pre-production second generation Soul EVs has been given a makeover to coincide with the Boardmasters 2021 Surfing and Music Festival in the UK. Called the Soul EV Boardmasters Edition, it's been given a lift kit, new decals and chunkier tyres to handle life on the sand. Oh, and a surf rack and lights, of course. I think it's stunning and honestly think it'd sell. What say you? And on that note, we are done for the day. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode. And if you haven't already switched yet, why not switch to New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company? It is super easy to make the switch, and when you do, you'll be helping New Zealand wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back soon with more great videos for you all to enjoy, but until then, I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Ka kite! See you next time.